At a very early age, when I was 5 or 6, my father graduated from a push bike to a motorbike. Whilst we were relatively poor compared to many working class families, to have motorised transport broadened a man's horizons. He could look further afield for work, and the commute that my father was doing every day was around 30 miles, so he was very keen to get mechanised. He started out with pretty old machines that had seen better times. Consequently, repairs were a constant occurrence, and so being keen to help him hold spanners and fetching and carrying, I soon learnt the ins and outs of the motorcycle, the engine and how it all worked, etc. In those days, people like us carried out the work on the roadside, especially as in our case, because we had no drive or garage attached to the property. But also, the motorcycle and sidecar, which is what he favoured rather than the solo bike, was too cumbersome to come down the path. He did, however, have several solo machines over the years as well. Usually small bikes that were cheap to run, like the BSA Bantam, a little scooter bike called the BSA Dandy, and a mobilette moped. In fact, it was a mobilette that I first went on the road with, private road that is, as I was only 13 years old when I first had my skid on the gravel. As it was no more than a motorised bicycle, I wasn't at all fazed by it. All the gang around were acrobats in these days, and this was before the BMX was invented. We would perform stunts on our big bikes just like they do today on their BMXs. The big difference for us was the frames weren't designed to take the punishment we gave them. Consequently, we were forever repairing our bikes. Other examples of combination motorcycles that my father had was the Panther, as seen with a large sidecar, and whilst an ideal motorbike for hauling a heavy load, for some reason he soon got rid of it. We graduated to a BSA M21 with a Watsonian sidecar, very similar to the one shown in the picture, which incidentally is a collage of what it was like for us leaving home to go on our holiday to Tenby in 1960, or it might have been 1959. I struggle to remember the exact year. What I do remember is sitting in the back seat of the sidecar with my young brother sat between my legs. It was a long journey, around 250 miles. We were loaded up to the gunnels with all the camping gear, cooking gear, bedding, clothes, including the kitchen sink in the shape of a plastic bowl. I think we had at least one puncture and many stops on the way. We left St Albans in Hertfordshire, where we lived, about 5 in the morning and arrived in Tenby in Pembrokeshire in Wales late afternoon, after a number of stops for the engine to cool down and oil checks to be done, etc. It really was an education. I have to tell you though, all those seen in my collage are not the true identity of those that made the journey. It's just to give you an idea of the amount that the BSA M21 was capable of hauling. The following year, my father splashed out and purchased a brand new motorcycle, the BSA A65. Attached to it was the Carmobile double adult and child sidecar, the largest sidecar that ever went into production in the UK. Sorry I don't have a picture of that one. It was, however, quite a bit bigger than the one attached to the Panther. After a couple of years with the BSA A65, he upgraded to a three-wheeler car, the Robin Regal. As I got older and into my late teens, I had a couple of small scooters, the Lambretta 175cc, and in adult life I had a CZ, again a 175cc, and the last motorbike I owned was a Honda 250 Twin. It was always my dream to have a big Harley Davidson like the one in the picture. Not to be so, however. Still a dream. Best I could do was buy electric trike, otherwise known as the Harley. Hi, hi. In the next clip you see a tricycle, and this is Dave's tricycle. It's a bits and pieces trike. The rear axle and crown wheel is the Robin Reliant assembly, and he has a Suzuki engine in it, which he explains in the clip. So this is quite an interesting machine, which he loves dearly, of course.
It's a lot better now.
Yeah. What do you call it, Dave?
What do I call it?
Yeah, what's the name of it?
Got a name yet?
Well, yeah, it must have a name. What sort of machine is it then?
Can't say.
Go on.
It's too rude at times.
No, go on, for the camera, look.
I don't know really, I've never named it.
These people that you'll see this round the world
Alright.
will want to know what it is.
Lifesaver, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
It's saved my life, gets me out,
Yeah.
stops me being...
But it's not Harley Davidson, is it?
No, it's Suzuki GS850.
Ah, that's what we're
Engine.
getting at.
Ah,
Suzuki
GS850.
GS850.
Engine.
Right.
Reliant back axle.
Right.
Reliant three-wheeler. And a custom back frame.
Right.
Fitted.
So Reliant back axle.
Yep.
And yeah, very good. It's looks the job to me.
Gets me out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it makes my little electric trike look a bit silly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes a bit faster.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Needs good clean. That's what it does at the moment.
they all need a good clean.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Winter's took its toll,
Yeah.
but next time you'll see it, it'll be orange.
Orange.
Yeah,
Right.
It's going
Okay.
in for a vehicle wrap on Monday.
Okay.
It's going to be bright orange.
Right. I'll terminate you there. Well, that was Dave. Now, Dave was an M3 call sign. I think he's still got his call sign, but he's been involved in amateur radio for a while. And this is Baz G0FGE. Unfortunately, his audio never came over very well in the clips. You see him on that first clip, sat on his Suzuki, which he's now put into mothballs, and he's bought himself another bike, a Triumph, and it's called the triple. Let me get this right. Hang on. Yeah, the Triumph Street Triple, 765cc, and quite a nice looking bike. It's now his pride and joy. And here you see Baz outside his garage giving me a demonstration, and I'm using my new stabilizer for the camera, and all a learning curve. In the distance there you can see his antennas on the top of his roof, and he's telling me a little bit about his radio life and motorcycles, and Baz and I are often chatting in the group on our net about motorbikes. It seems to gravitate round to motorcycles very often, and that's one of the reasons I'm putting this together, because of the number of associations that amateur radio operators have with motorcycles, seems to be, but they also have other interests, especially in steam engines and anything mechanical. So there we are. So this is Baz with his Triumph Street Triple 765cc motorcycle, and he's desperately waiting for the weather to get better so he can get out and about and not be at too much of a risk of rain, etc., which unfortunately we seem to be dogged with in this country. Unlike those places like California, where everybody loves to go out for long rides on their Harleys and other bikes, I would imagine. But I can only imagine, as I have to put up with the dreary old wet weather of the UK. Not always the case, though, I have to say. Well, this is Baz's pride and joy in the showroom before he bought it, and hope he enjoys having that machine. It certainly looks very smart. And Baz G0FGE is a very keen amateur radio operator and spends a lot of time operating on the CW, and very good at it he is as well, and occasionally gives us a bit of tuition.
Just tell me again, Baz, what the name, the model, it's a Triumph?
Triumph Street Triple.
Street Triple. Okay, I think I've got that on there. Yeah, and then it's 765cc. Amazing, isn't it? Well, hopefully that'll help me as well. I'm sure that'll come out okay.
Yeah. Phil, ready?
Okay.
Hello Phil, my name's Lynn. I'm one of Phil's mates, radio operator, also into bikes. I've been for, well, years, to be honest, and spent a while working in the industry itself at a custom motorcycle paint shop. Hence the reason why the bikes are painted as they are, really. You can't have a tatty bike if you're a bike painter. I'm also ex-military, and got bored a couple of years ago, and thought I'll buy myself an old wreck, mess around with it a little bit and give it a nice paint job. And
keep going.
And so I did, and I served in Northern Ireland along with a lot of other troops, etc. So I thought on the 500 there I'll do a bit of artwork, tribute to them, a little bit more on the rear bumper, also on the rear fender. They're about walking the walk, as we used to call it. But I've had this old girl about her 20 years. And when I got her, she was a bit of a wreck, really, a bit untidy and all the rest of it, and she was pink or faded candy purple. So first thing was get rid of that horrible paint scheme, and over the years she's had various different guises, and this is the last one, and she's a candy green and silver marbleizer effect. And don't know what it is, she's a bit of a predilection for green, but army background maybe. I don't know.
And Lynn, what's your history with radio? What's your call sign?
Oh, my call sign's Mike Zero Tango Charlie Foxtrot, M0 TCF, test card 4. For them who don't know, most famous test card on the planet. Little girl on the clown playing noughts and crosses. What does TCF stand for? Well, that's what I've got to Google. test card 4. Anyway, my excuse. Been messing around with radios ever since I was a kid, basically, ever since it splashed into the UK in the early 70s.
So you'd say bikes and radios go together in a lot of cases?
Can do a lot of the time, yeah. I have operated mobile. Oddly enough, I've actually spent more time on the bike operating on PMR, on public mobile radio, on 2 wheels, than I have actually on the amateur frequencies. And I belong to a bike club, and we all bought the same little radios, and nasty little 8-channel pocket radios. And I was riding up to Shropshire one day, and to a rally, and I was getting close to the rally site, so I was calling on the radio backwards and forwards, see if anybody would answer me, give me some directions in, and all of a sudden I got a response from a guy, and I was riding along the A1M. Who are you? Who are you? Anyway, it worked out very quickly that he was sitting in a digger about half a mile from the motorway, digging a big hole in the ground, and I was riding past him on the side of the bike.
Very good. Lovely story. Now, what's that other bike you got up there?
Oh, crikey. Well, let's explain a little bit. Back in '95, I had a very serious accident, which eventually led, some years later, to me losing my left leg. Yeah, I still ride 2 wheels. If you look on this one, on the head, I'll quickly show you. We've got what's called, go around your side, Phil. We've got what's called a Philip.Charles gear changer. This device here, Philip.Charles gear changer, operates from 2 buttons on the handlebars. Pull the clutch in, push the button down, goes down a gear. Push it up, goes up again. Simple as that. But without being funny, they're extremely expensive and not very easy to come by. When I say expensive, I mean 700 quid a pop. And they are a universal fit, but they're quite fiddly. Anyway, I've moved on a generation since then, and I picked up this. This is quite a rare bike, Phil. Shoes and boxes, I'm just in the process of tidying up. Don't video my butt.
I can edit these things, you know.
Thanks, mate. Do edit it, please.
But I'm leaving it running.
Yeah. This bike, currently known as Flow, FLO. Give all my bikes names, and won't be that for long. That'll get changed. But this is a Honda NSA 700 DNO1, nicknamed Dino, from for obvious reasons. It says DNO1 on the side of it. Manufactured only for 2 years by Honda. This is an 09 model, sorry, an 09 010.
And have you got the different attachment on the other side for the gearing?
No, this bike is actually flippy floppy gear change control. Rub button, it's factory built.
Oh, right.
So there's no
need for you to operate with the foot then?
No, not at all. Actually, you can also have it in a fully automatic mode, and I do. You know, the up and down the gearbox automatic system, I think they call it Kicktronic these days, whatever, in the car.
It certainly looks the business,
yeah,
anyway.
But it's it gets boring, you know. I mean, you just leave it on, let the bike do it itself. It's just so easy to ride, you know.
Right. Well,
the problem is it goes like stink, and it's very, very, very easy to exceed your speed limit.
I know you can talk forever. But anyway, Lynn, thanks very much for the talk on your bikes. And, you know, a lot of people out there is going to be very interested. And what is that?
That is a handbrake.
Okay.
You don't see that on many bikes.
Right.
Because it's got no clutch or anything like that. You can't knock it into gear and something rolling back down the hill. So a handbrake instead.
Well, it certainly makes my little electric trike look a little bit silly, but...
I don't know, mate. I mean, you can pop a mean wheelie on that if you try hard.
Yeah.
I'll stand on the back of it for you.
Anyway, thanks very much. I'm going to terminate the video here.
No worries.
And do some editing later on.
Oh, that's fine.
Roger.
Call sign 2E0, Golf Hotel Radio. I have an interest in two-wheel transport from a very, very early age because I was virtually born car outfit in the 1950s, which was a 1000cc Vincent Black Shadow. And this is basically a modern version of a Vincent Black Shadow. Basically, it's a Suzuki DL1000 GT, which has got all the boxes on it, and it's a very, very torquey, very comfortable bike to ride.
Lovely machine. It looks pristine too, doesn't it?
Well, it's not too bad. I mean, it's an 08.
Really? Yeah.
With motorcycles, there are always things that you want slightly different or improved. Now, it could do with a bigger petrol tank for a start. It could do with shaft drive, and a slightly longer seat for us larger gentlemen carrying passengers, or pillions, whichever way you want to put it. But yeah, you could sit there for hours on end and get lost in the experiences.
I see you got another frame up there then.
Yeah,
so
that's a Kawasaki KX80. Somebody's asked me to put that together from, but unfortunately, having not been well over the last 7 or 8 months, and not been able to do a lot with that.
No, right. And I understand that your early life, you started out living in North London.
Yeah.
And father had a motorcycle.
Yeah, grandfather had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what sort of motorbikes would they have been in those days then?
Aerial Red Hunter.
Yeah.
Dad had a Square 4.
Did he? Okay. What other notable bikes can you recall?
Well, the ones I can recall is the Red Hunter, the Square 4, International Norton, several BSA twins, 650s with sidecar.
What about the Douglas? Didn't you have involvement with the Douglas at one time?
When my late father had a nasty accident in 1963, he and my mother were on a Greaves Wessex twin, and they were waiting at a T-junction, and unfortunately, somewhat early in the morning, that a Covent Garden fruit lorry, unfortunately, decided in his infinite wisdom to take a shortcut, and decided he would dive up this into this T-junction. Unfortunately, there was only room for one vehicle. That was my dad and my mum, because both sides of the road there.
Yeah. Because you know, I come from that same neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And there was always lots of stories about accidents on Scott's Hill near Rickmansworth.
Yeah.
I expect you heard about that as well, did you?
Yeah. Well, Dad was on his way to work, and he was on his way to Baker Street via a devious route, because he had to go and collect something from a mate of his down in Neasden.
Oh yeah.
So that's where he was, down by Neasden Station, which is a funny hill, funny bend.
Not a lot of hills round that area, I have to say, but yeah. Unlike Devon, of course.
Yeah, it's full of hills.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, Dad got knocked off and got smashed up quite badly.
That's a shame.
And then for his recovery, one of his pals, who worked for a chap who built the early 5-speed gearboxes for Lotus Cortinas and stuff like that. They were looking for bigger premises, Phil.
All right.
And whilst they were clearing this place out, there was a huge workshop. It was full of bicycles.
Really?
Huge place. And when they were clearing it all out, they found this 1927 600cc EW Douglas, which was buried underneath it all.
Really?
And when Father completed its restoration and took it to a concourse in the other side of Slough, the chap said, "Hello, Fred, where'd you get your spray painting done?" I said, "What spray painting?" He said, No spray painting. It's all hand done,
Really?
all hand done."
Go on.
Yeah. About umpteen coats of Valspar black gloss.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and just continuous rubbing down, soap and water,
So your family's been involved with big bikes for
for
a long time. Much the same as mine. Well, thanks very much for all that, Roger. It's very interesting stuff. And I'm going to be putting your clip on the group.
Anyway,
so thanks very much.
That's all right. No trouble, Phil.
Thank you. Stop recording. Thank you.
To finish my video, as a tribute to my son Simon, who has just completed 25 years service in the British Army as a gun fitter and weapons artificer with the rank of Staff Sergeant, soon to be a heavy lifting gear inspector in his first job back in Civvy Street. In fact, he joined the Army at the age of 17, so it will be a new adventure for him. The last 3 years of his Army career were spent at the Defence Academy, where during his spare time he restored a couple of motorcycles along with a few ancient firearms, including this relic from 1913, I believe, an 18-pound cannon. He also gained a degree in engineering during that time. So when you see the work he carried out on his motorcycles, you can see he has put his time to good use. The Aprilia Scrambles bike he had for 20 years and recently sold on. Shortly afterwards he got hold of the Ducati and has made a fine job of that one too. And of course he too is a radio operator like all servicemen and women. They are professionals rather than amateurs, of course. But who knows, he might join the band and become a ham in the future. So, best 7.3s, catch you later. Now clear.